Imagine for a moment a crucial situation. You are the manager of a large company, a leader, and you need to select one candidate for a coding position from two individuals. On one hand, there's Mr. Albert, a coding genius with exceptional technical knowledge, but whose communication skills are, let's say, not particularly outstanding. On the other hand, we have candidate number 2, Mr. Vikas, whose coding skills are good, not bad at all, but his communication skills are truly excellent. This individual can present his ideas effectively, engage in conversations effortlessly, and has already handled numerous clients, built rapport, and interacted extensively. So, who would you hire? I'd like you to take a moment to consider your answer and perhaps even share it in the comments. Have you decided? Now let me share some intriguing facts, especially if you initially thought that communication has little to do with a coding job and that hiring Mr. Albert, the coding genius, would be the obvious choice. Pay close attention to this. A 2023 report from LinkedIn Global Talent Trends revealed that 92% of hiring managers consistently choose candidates whose communication skills are superior to their technical skills. The reason is profound. Individuals with strong communication abilities can interact effectively with others, manage teams with greater efficiency, handle clients with finesse, and often perform exceptionally well in interviews due to their articulate nature. Whatever the specific reason, the undeniable fact is that most employers assign superior roles to those with excellent communication skills, and these individuals tend to advance further in life, even if someone else possesses stronger technical expertise. In fact, according to a Harvard Business Review report, individuals with top-tier communication skills earn, on average, 15% to 20% more. These are often the people who rise to become CEOs, politicians, and leaders, effectively shaping and guiding the world. In essence, if your ambition is to earn more, become a leader, improve your relationships, or generally enhance your quality of life, becoming a proficient communicator is an absolute necessity. I promise you that if you dedicate just 15 minutes of your time to me today, I can help transform you into a communication genius. I will share insights and narratives that will impart 7 incredibly powerful lessons. These lessons are deceptively simple, but if you begin to apply them consistently in your life, you will witness a drastic and positive transformation. And these insights aren't merely fabricated tales or personal conjectures. They stem from my own extensive experience, coupled with the profound wisdom contained within an amazing classic, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This book, now over 80 or 90 years old, remains incredibly relevant today, and its principles will continue to be so a decade from now. This is because the lessons within are not just superficial tips and tricks. They are rooted in deep psychological reasons that are essential for anyone aspiring to become a master communicator. You should learn them and start applying them today. By doing so, you will become a more effective communicator than 99% of people. Moreover, as I recount these stories today, I want you to view them as a game. Notice how, despite each story offering a distinct lesson, you will discover a common theme, a recurring pattern that appears in every single one. What is this common pattern? I want you to pay close attention and tell me what it is at the end of the video. If you can identify it correctly, I will grant 3 lucky winners free access to my 21-day challenge, a product valued at Rs. $9.99, where I host live sessions and engage in a Spark routine. So if you wish to be one of those 3 lucky winners, be sure to comment what you believe is the common theme across all 7 stories. Now let's begin. Sincere appreciation. The power of a heartfelt thank you. Imagine a bustling steel factory. In the early hours of the morning, the air is filled with the clatter of machines, sparks fly in every direction, and the workers, drenched in sweat, stand exhausted, their spirits flagging. The problem is clear. Production has significantly slowed, leading to a dip in company profits and a general decline in morale across the board. The atmosphere is heavy with fatigue and discouragement. It is into this very situation that a man named Charles Schwab enters. He is the boss of this mill, and he moves with a calm demeanor as he walks onto the factory floor where all the work is underway. He pauses, observes the scene, and then approaches the mill's foreman, a type of manager. In a booming voice that cuts through the industrial noise, Schwab asks, "Who did the best work this week?" The foreman, slightly surprised but quick to respond, points to a man who stands nervously, a little fearful. He introduces himself as James. Schwab walks directly to James and begins to speak with him. At this precise moment, the entire mill, which had been alive with the cacophony of machinery and human activity, falls silent. All eyes are fixed on James, captivated by this unusual interaction. Schwab engages James in conversation, and through their dialogue, he learns how James's feedback on an adjustment significantly benefited the mill. Without hesitation, Schwab reaches into his coat pocket, pulls out a $5 bill, and hands it to James. While $5 might not seem like a large sum today, in that era, it represented a substantial income. But Schwab doesn't just hand over the money, he does so with genuine joy and speaks with sincere gratitude. "James," he says, "by adjusting the furnace settings, you earned this plant hundreds of dollars in profit last week. Thank you so much for bringing this to our attention." The moment James hears these words, a distinct joy spreads across his face. A sense of pride and confidence visibly enters his eyes, and a newfound belief takes root that he is doing valuable work. After this brief but impactful exchange, Charles Schwab simply departs, yet the effect of his words lingers. Slowly, workers who had been sitting begin to stand, a ripple of renewed energy moving through the factory. That single, small word, "Thank you," uttered by the boss, completely transforms the atmosphere and the entire aura of the factory. But the change isn't just in the mood. In the following days, something remarkable happens. Production doubles. Everyone begins to bring forth new ideas on how they can increase output and improve their work methods. A fresh surge of enthusiasm fills the air. What was the underlying reason for this profound transformation? It was nothing more than a sincere compliment, a heartfelt appreciation from the boss. And this brings us to the first powerful lesson from the book. When you genuinely appreciate and respect someone from the heart, this act often holds far greater significance than mere monetary rewards. It doesn't just make people feel good, it fundamentally changes their energy levels and their entire outlook. Therefore, if you aspire to be an effective communicator, the first step is to start genuinely appreciating people and expressing your gratitude with a sincere thank you. Admitting mistakes, the blueprint for building trust. Let us transport ourselves back to the 1920s, to a time when a small bank found itself in a precarious situation. A significant blunder had occurred. They had accidentally overcharged a client by $20,000, a colossal sum in that era. This was a period of immense public distrust in banks, a post-war climate where people were primarily withdrawing money, not depositing it. In such an environment, a mistake of this magnitude could severely damage the bank's reputation, erode what little trust remained, and potentially lead to its complete downfall. The prudent course of action, one might think, would be for the bank to suppress the issue, prevent the news from spreading, and contain the damage to their name and business. However, the president of that bank, instead of choosing to cover up the mistake, did something utterly shocking and counterintuitive. He took out a full-page advertisement in the local newspaper. The headline of this bold ad declared, "We made a mistake." The advertisement went on to detail the error, explicitly named the client involved, and unequivocally stated their commitment to return the $20,000. Furthermore, they promised to pay interest on the overcharged amount. And to top it all off, they offered a heartfelt apology to everyone for this grave error. What was the outcome of this astonishing act? Many people, expecting the usual concealment of mistakes, were taken aback by this public admission and apology. The public reaction was overwhelmingly positive. Customers began writing letters to the bank, expressing their newfound trust and declaring, "We can trust a bank that stands by its mistakes." The impact was profound. Deposits began to flood in, not just doubling but tripling, as people flocked to open new accounts. The general sentiment was that if a bank was willing to publicly own up to such a significant error, it demonstrated an unparalleled level of integrity and trustworthiness. They concluded that this bank was safe and reliable. This bank, which had previously struggled just to survive, transformed after this public apology. It became the most trusted financial institution in its region. Profits soared exponentially, and the number of satisfied clients dramatically increased. People began referring their friends, family, and acquaintances, spreading the word about this bank's remarkable honesty. The lesson here is crystal clear. Whenever you make even a small mistake, instead of arguing, instead of offering justifications, simply admit your error directly. By doing so, you can gain people's trust far more effectively than by offering endless excuses. This is a lesson I have personally applied and witnessed its power. One time I was driving somewhere and was running late. I inadvertently ran a red light. I can't even recall if I did it in a hurry or intentionally, but the fact was, as soon as I crossed the signal, I encountered police officers who stopped me. They asked, "Can't you see there's a traffic light?" Instead of offering excuses like, "I'm sorry, I was in a hurry," or "I didn't see it," I simply said, "Yes, sir, I am really sorry. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have crossed this red signal, but I did. I'm so sorry." Guess what? The police officer himself seemed a little shocked. He likely expected me to argue or make excuses. Instead, he simply gave me a warning and let me go. This incident perfectly illustrates that when you own your mistakes, people often appreciate it. Most people are busy trying to hide their errors, and when you openly acknowledge yours, it creates a sense of respect and trust. This is another powerful way to influence people positively. Ask, don't tell, understanding before speaking. Picture a shoe shop where numerous salesmen have memorized a fixed set of lines. Any customer who approaches them is subjected to the same rehearsed spiel: how all their shoes are made of genuine leather, how black and white are their best-selling shoes, their features, their pricing, and so on. Many customers come, listen to the cost of the shoes, nod their heads, and then simply walk away without making a purchase. However, in this exact situation, there is one particular salesman, let's call him Rohit for the purpose of this illustration, who does something entirely different. Whenever a customer approaches him, Rohit doesn't launch into those pre-scripted lines. Instead, he asks a direct question. "Sir, what kind of shoes are you looking for? Comfortable shoes or stylish shoes?" This question, for most customers, is intriguing. It makes them pause and think. They might consider, okay, I need shoes for daily office wear, so I'd prioritize comfort over style. Upon hearing this, Rohit smiles. He then goes inside and brings out a shoe with special cushioning, presenting it to the customer with a confident explanation. "Sir, you can wear these shoes for 10 or even 12 hours, and your feet will remain perfectly fine and flexible." He then encourages the customer to try them on, allowing them to feel the comfort for themselves. And he doesn't stop there. He might add, "Sir, if you find the comfort exceptional, tell me. I can bring out a slightly more stylish version in this same line." He then searches for and brings out colors like black, brown, or navy blue, tailoring his suggestions to the customer's stated preferences, always emphasizing the comfort aspect. And guess what? By using this sales strategy, this particular salesman, Rohit, who previously earned around $30,000 to $40,000, began earning more than $80,000. From this single story, you can learn not one, not two, but three crucial lessons. Firstly, whenever you go to speak with someone, most people immediately start talking about themselves. We have this, we are like this, our product is this, buy that. But what did Rohit, the salesman, do here? Instead of talking, he asked questions. You too should ask questions to your customers. Secondly, you should talk about things that are of interest to them, not just to you. For example, what do you need more? Do you need it for office use? What is it for? If the other person talks about comfort, then ask them more questions and discuss topics related to comfort. Basically, talk about what the other person is interested in, not just yourself. And lastly, in this story, Rohit also focused on results. It wasn't just about talking. Rohit actually brought shoes that were comfortable and met the customer's needs. Similarly, if you ask people questions, discuss their interests, and focus on delivering good results for them, you can become not just a very powerful and influential salesman, but even a CEO or a world leader. In fact, many great books I have read emphasize the same principles, a customer-first approach, focusing more on customers and what they need. If you can understand the pulse of your customers, you can become a millionaire or even a billionaire. But it's crucial to focus on them, something we often fail to do. Agree before disagreeing, the art of subtle persuasion. Consider this scenario. A Ford salesman is at a dealership when a customer walks in. The customer begins to inquire about Ford cars, but in the course of their conversation, he starts to express his opinion that Chevrolet cars are far superior to Ford's. Now, typically, any other salesman representing Ford sitting in a Ford showroom would, in an ideal world, immediately argue. They would assert that the customer is wrong and that Ford cars are undeniably better. However, do you know what this particular salesman did? Instead of disagreeing, he began to agree with the customer. He said, yes, you are absolutely right. The point you made about this particular Chevrolet model is very true. Chevrolet cars are indeed very good. The salesman continued to agree with the customer's points about Chevrolet. As the customer, filled with enthusiasm for Chevrolet, continued to express his views, he eventually exhausted all his points and arguments. Only after the customer had finished speaking, after he had nothing more to say about Chevrolet, did the Ford salesman begin to share some facts about Ford cars. And guess what? This customer ended up buying a Ford car and left the dealership. The lesson here is profound. Often, when we want to assert our point or convince someone of our perspective, our first instinct is to immediately disagree. We jump in with counter-arguments. However, by choosing to agree with the other person, by listening to their points, and by letting them exhaust their arguments first, you create an opening. Once they have said everything they want to say, when you then present your point of view, there is a much higher chance that they will listen to you, understand you, and be more receptive to what you have to say. This approach is far more effective than engaging in a direct confrontation of opinions, prioritizing the other's needs, the calf and the path to influence. Once, Ralph Waldo Emerson and his son were attempting to coerce a calf into its stall. Emerson was pushing the calf with considerable force, and his son was pulling with all his might. They were both expending significant energy from opposite ends, yet the calf remained stubborn, refusing to move an inch. I was standing there, Observing this struggle, Emerson and his son grew weary from their efforts, but the calf was unyielding. At that moment, their Irish housekeeper, a resourceful woman, appeared. She approached the calf and simply inserted her fingers into its mouth. The calf, being accustomed to milk and finding comfort in suckling, immediately began to lick and suckle her fingers. As it did so, the housekeeper slowly, gently began to pull the calf by her fingers, guiding it steadily, step by step, all the way into the barn. The calf followed her willingly, almost unthinkingly. What is the profound lesson embedded in this simple anecdote? The lesson is this: if you want another person, or even an animal, to do what you desire, first give them what they want. Once their needs or desires are met, they will then happily and willingly do what you want them to do. This principle is not just about calves and barns. It is a fundamental truth about human motivation and influence. When you address the needs, interests, or desires of another person, you create a pathway for them to be receptive to your suggestions and requests. It's about finding common ground, understanding their motivation, and then aligning your desires with theirs. This approach, rooted in empathy and understanding, is far more powerful than coercion or force in achieving your objectives. It demonstrates that true influence comes from understanding and catering to the needs of others, rather than simply dictating terms. Active listening, the unspoken language of connection. In our daily lives, we often find ourselves focused predominantly on what we want to say, the points we want to make, or the arguments we wish to present, rather than truly absorbing what the other person is communicating. This is where the profound practice of active listening comes into play. Active listening is not merely about hearing the words being spoken. It is about fully and completely paying attention to the entirety of the message. This means tuning into not just the explicit words, but also the nuances of their tone of voice, the subtle cues in their body language, and the underlying implicit feelings and emotions they are conveying. When you engage in active listening, you go beyond surface-level comprehension. You demonstrate a deep level of respect and unequivocally validate the other person's thoughts and feelings. This act of genuine attention creates a crucial space, a trusting environment where dialogue can flow more naturally and authentically. People instinctively feel valued and deeply understood when they are truly listened to. This feeling of being heard is a powerful catalyst for strengthening bonds and fostering deeper connections, whether in personal relationships or professional interactions. Furthermore, active listening is an incredibly potent tool for problem solving. When you fully grasp the other person's perspective, their concerns and their needs, you are much better equipped to offer relevant solutions, provide meaningful support, or simply respond in a way that truly resonates with them. It allows you to move beyond assumptions and address the actual issues at hand. It's a silent yet incredibly effective form of communication that speaks volumes about your engagement and care. By mastering active listening, you don't just hear, you understand. You connect, and you lay the groundwork for more meaningful and productive conversations. It's an investment in every relationship, yielding dividends in trust, rapport, and mutual understanding. Building empathy, walking in another's shoes for deeper understanding. Empathy is more than just a buzzword. It is a fundamental human capacity, the ability to genuinely understand and authentically share the feelings, perspectives, and experiences of another person. In the realm of communication, practicing empathy means consciously making the effort to see the world through the eyes of the other person. It requires stepping outside of your own preconceived notions, biases, and experiences, and immersing yourself in their reality. When you actively practice empathy in your interactions, you gain an invaluable insight into their motivations, concerns, aspirations, and fears. This deeper understanding allows you to anticipate not just what they might say, but why they might say it and how they might react. This foresight is incredibly powerful because it enables you to tailor your message in a profoundly more effective manner. Instead of merely presenting your thoughts, you can frame them in a way that directly addresses their interests, alleviates their worries, or appeals to their desires. It's crucial to understand that empathy does not necessarily mean agreeing with every single thing another person says or believes. Rather, its essence lies in truly comprehending their point of view, even if it differs wildly from your own. This profound comprehension builds bridges of understanding where walls of misunderstanding might otherwise arise. When people feel that you genuinely understand where they are coming from, even if you don't share their exact perspective, they are far more likely to be open to your ideas, your suggestions, and even your disagreements. Empathy is an essential ingredient for persuasion because it allows you to appeal to the other person's underlying needs and values. It is also vital for effective conflict resolution, as it helps you identify the root causes of disagreement and find common ground or mutually beneficial solutions. By consciously cultivating empathy, you move beyond superficial interactions and tap into a deeper level of human connection, fostering trust, respect, and a more harmonious exchange of ideas. It's the silent force that transforms mere talk into truly meaningful communication. Conscious body language, the silent architect of your message. It is a widely accepted truth that a significant portion of our communication transcends mere words. It is nonverbal. Your body language, encompassing your facial expressions, your gestures, your posture, and even the subtle shifts in your stance, transmits incredibly potent messages. These unspoken cues often speak louder and carry more weight than the explicit words you utter. Therefore, becoming conscious of both your own body language and that of others is a transformative skill that can dramatically enhance all your interactions. Consider the impact of specific nonverbal cues. For instance, maintaining appropriate eye contact without staring intensely conveys sincerity, engagement, and confidence. An open posture, where your arms are uncrossed and your body is generally oriented towards the other person, signals approachability, openness, and receptiveness. Similarly, nodding occasionally when someone is speaking indicates that you are actively listening, comprehending, and acknowledging their points. These subtle behaviors collectively communicate that you are present, engaged, and approachable. Conversely, certain body language signals can send unintended negative messages. Crossing your arms, for example, can be perceived as defensiveness, closed-mindedness, or even hostility, regardless of your verbal message. Avoiding eye contact might suggest discomfort, dishonesty, or a lack of confidence. Fidgeting excessively or constantly checking your watch can communicate disinterest or impatience. These unconscious signals can undermine your spoken words, creating dissonance between what you say and what you truly convey. By mastering your body language, you gain the ability to align your nonverbal cues with your verbal message, ensuring a more authentic and impactful communication. This self-awareness allows you to project confidence, trustworthiness, and warmth. Furthermore, by observing the body language of others, you can gain valuable insights into their emotional state, their level of engagement, and their true reactions, even when their words might suggest otherwise. This dual awareness empowers you to adjust your approach in real time, fostering a more effective and harmonious exchange. Conscious body language is not just about presenting yourself well. It's about deeply understanding and connecting with the unspoken aspects of human interaction. Clarity and simplicity, the art of unmistakable understanding. In an increasingly complex and information-saturated world, the ability to communicate with clarity is not merely a desirable trait. It is a genuine superpower. Often we inadvertently complicate our messages, making them difficult for others to fully grasp. This can happen through the overuse of jargon or technical terms that our audience may not understand, through overly verbose explanations that obscure the main point, or by presenting ideas in a disorganized and convoluted structure. The result is confusion, misinterpretation, and a breakdown in effective communication. To become a truly effective communicator, your primary objective must be to strive for simplicity. This means consciously choosing to use plain, straightforward language that is easy to understand for your intended audience. Avoid unnecessary complexity and resist the urge to impress with overly academic or formal vocabulary. Get straight to the point, clearly stating your main idea up front and then supporting it with relevant details in a logical and coherent manner. A crucial aspect of achieving clarity is to think empathetically about your audience. Consider their existing knowledge, their background, and their perspective. Then adapt your message to their level of understanding. If you are speaking to a general audience, simplify complex concepts and use analogies or examples that resonate with everyday experiences. If you are communicating with specialists, you might use more technical terms, but always ensure they are commonly understood within that field. The ultimate goal is for your message to be comprehended without effort on the part of the listener or reader. When your communication is clear and concise, you dramatically reduce the chances of misunderstandings. Your message is delivered efficiently, and its intended impact is far more likely to be achieved. Moreover, clarity signals confidence and respect for your audience's time. It shows that you have taken the time to distill your thoughts into an easily digestible format. By mastering the art of simplicity, you ensure that your message not only reaches your audience, but is also truly understood and acted upon, making your communication efforts profoundly more effective and impactful. It transforms mere words into actionable insights, adaptability, tailoring your communication for every unique situation. The landscape of human interaction is incredibly varied, and therefore the notion that there is a single, one-size-fits-all approach to communication is a misconception. To be truly considered a great communicator means cultivating the crucial skill of adaptability. This inherent flexibility involves the astute ability to adjust your communication style in real time, taking into account several critical factors: the specific individual you are interacting with, the unique context of the situation, and the overarching objective or goal of your conversation. Consider how your communication might naturally shift in different scenarios. For instance, the way you engage with a close friend will differ significantly from how you communicate with a new client in a professional setting. Similarly, your interaction with a team member during a brainstorming session will be distinct from a formal presentation to senior executives. A skilled communicator understands these subtle distinctions and knows how to pivot seamlessly between various communication modes. This adaptability manifests in several ways. It means knowing when to be formal and when to be informal. Striking the right balance to foster rapport without sacrificing professionalism or respect. It involves discerning when to be direct and straightforward with your message, and when a more subtle, nuanced approach is required, perhaps to navigate sensitive topics or to gently persuade. Crucially, it also means understanding when to prioritize listening over speaking. In some situations, your role might primarily be to absorb information and empathize, while in others, It's to lead and articulate a clear vision. By cultivating this versatility, you empower yourself to navigate a diverse array of social and professional situations with heightened confidence and efficacy. You become less prone to miscommunications because you are consciously aligning your delivery with the expectations and needs of your audience. This strategic flexibility allows you to build rapport more effectively, convey your message more persuasively, and ultimately achieve your communication goals with greater success across the entire spectrum of human interaction. Adaptability is the hallmark of a truly sophisticated and impactful communicator. We have embarked on a journey to explore 7 crucial lessons, each a vital stepping stone toward becoming an exceptional communicator. From understanding the profound impact of sincere appreciation to embracing the necessity of adaptability in every interaction, each principle is a fundamental building block for constructing stronger relationships, influencing others positively, and ultimately achieving your personal and professional aspirations. Communication is far more intricate than merely the words you utter. It encompasses the nuanced way you deliver your message, the depth with which you listen to others, and the genuine connections you forge. It's about empathy, clarity, and the silent language of your body. By consciously and consistently applying these powerful lessons in your daily life, you will undoubtedly set yourself apart, distinguishing yourself from the vast majority of people who may not be as attuned to these subtle yet potent dynamics of human interaction. This elevated understanding of communication will not only open doors to new opportunities, but will also pave the way for greater success and fulfillment in all facets of your life. The path to becoming a true communication genius is not an elusive dream. It is a tangible journey, and the tools you need are now firmly within your grasp.